Welcome back to the Angry Man podcast with Jason and Greg. And Jay, we just wrapped up the fight. We saw the post-fight press conference with Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin. And Gervonta Davis, as I predicted, knocked out Frank Martin in 8 rounds. I predicted that he was going to knock him out between 6 and 8 rounds. And it kind of played out exactly how I thought it was going to be, Jay. When you think about the athleticism of Frank Martin, it gave Gervonta Davis problems at first. I thought Frank Martin boxed a beautiful fight in the first 2 rounds, specifically using that jab and using movement to kind of get Gervonta Davis off rhythm. Even when he backed into the corner, he looked very sharp and counterpunching, and it made Gervonta Davis a little bit hesitant. But as the fight progressed, and I was saying this in the Discord, we were both scoring this in the Discord. I gave Frank Martin the first 2 rounds. Frank seemed to start off very hot in the first 2 rounds, but then when we got in the third round, he was maybe good in the first minute, but then he started to fade. And then around 4, maybe he was good in the first 45 seconds and then started to fade. The fifth
Yep.
round, the first 30 seconds, and started to fade. And Gervonta Davis kept coming on and coming on and coming on. And it seemed like to me, Jay, and you tell me if you see it differently, but it felt like to me, Gervonta Davis started to really figure out the rhythm, the timing, the speed of Frank Martin. And once he started doing that, it became much more difficult for Frank Martin to back into the corner because Tank was starting to tee off on him, started getting more comfortable, started letting his hands go a little bit more. And it was interesting because he started off the fight, Jay. He started off the fight with what? A high guard approaching a very athletic fighter who can actually counterpunch you. A high guard. He used a high guard to walk him down. That is exactly what I predicted that Errol Spence should have done. But I was laughed at when Errol Spence, of course, lost. But that is a very effective way to walk down someone who is speedy and can counterpunch. It's a very effective way, and that's exactly what Tank used. Walked him down with a high guard, counterpunched him until he got comfortable with the speed and the angles that he was going to take. And then once he got comfortable, I gave Tank every round after round 2. And eventually he got him in that corner and released those combos. It was an uppercut, kind of weird looking uppercut because it looked like it could have been a left that was going to come over the top. And it looked like Frank was trying to prepare for that, but instead he brought it up under, caught Frank, came back around, boop, night, night. All she
All she
wrote,
wrote.
Jay. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to do the prediction video because I had some other stuff going on, but I had Frank losing within 9. I thought Tank would be too much for him. I figured Tank would figure him out because people forget Tank hasn't fought in over a year. So he's gonna be rusty. Time is gonna be off. Just not being familiar with everything. Trying to get his own groove back, and that's what he does. Tank always is a slow starter. He's figuring out the first couple of rounds, and that's what he did tonight. Just took a little bit longer. And I noticed when he was in the corner, and he was telling Coach Cal, he's like he don't got the pop. So if you don't have a pop, say like a Rolly or a Ryan with that left hook, Tank not gonna respect you like that. He's gonna come up with a high guard and walk you down and not really worry about what you come in your return fire. And Frank wilted. Frank started tiring down, and I think Frank was getting hurt also when he was getting caught. So that even slowed him down even more. Because I was noticing when Frank, I was talking about it in the Discord as well as you and I chatting, how Frank kept evading towards Frank's power side. He kept
Tank's
evading
power side.
to Tank's power side, which I was like, he's setting himself up for failure. He evaded to the power side, had the hand up real high. I'm like, the body's exposed. Tank started catching him a little bit to the body. On that, and to your point with the knockout punch, with knockout combo actually, it was like kind of like an up jab uppercut. It was like an uppercut. It was an ugly uppercut that he caught him with because he was throwing the left earlier. He threw the left a few times, and Frank was really preparing for that. He went underneath, caught him, and Frank was just sitting there like this. Caught him up and cleaned him up with another left. So I mean, no disrespect to Tank, no disrespect to Frank. Frank fought a good fight. He proved that he proved that he's a top 5 135 pound 5-pounder. So all the slander they gave to Frank, you need to kill that noise. You just also gotta respect Tank because Tank's on a different level. Tank proves that he can do he's very dynamic in that ring. What he can do. He's not just a one-punch knockout artist. He's just not just looking for the knockout. He's setting you up. He can stalk you. He can set traps. He can counterpunch you. He can knock you out the left. He can knock you out the right. So you gotta start putting respect on Tank's name on that. he was just calm in there. He did get touched up a little bit by Frank. He even talked about it. He wanted to be a target, but you don't want to be a target with your face though. You don't want to be a target with your face at all. So I think
Agreed.
Tank. The one thing, great thing also about the post fight interview, they ask him who's next. He's like, they all on his list from Loma, Shakur. Did they say anyone else? No, they just really said Loma and Shakur and Pitbull for a rematch. They didn't mention Devin. I noticed that because Devin's at 140 anyway. Although Devin was calling his name, but Devin hadn't said nothing about Tank since April 20th. We know what happened on April 20th on that date there. But Tank was very eager to say, like, yeah, I was rusty. I'm ready to get back in the gym. So this is very scary. A focused Tank is very scary. We saw he came in at 133.4. Super on point. When he started camp, he was at 138.6. This dude being focused, he's a problem at 135. And y'all need to kill the noise talking about, oh, he need to go up to 140, 147, 154, all this stuff, whatever. He's a small dude. He's a small dude. And we saw that at the weigh-in. But this fight here, you gotta give Frank credit for what he did the first couple of rounds and what he was trying to continue to do. But he just went on, there's levels to it. He's not on Tank's level. Tank's on a whole nother level than he is, and Tank's on another level than anyone at 135, I feel. I think some other good fights can happen, but I still think Tank can be a victor in that. But all in all, Tank handled business tonight.
Yeah, so I think what's next for Gervonta Davis, I know we were talking about this in the Discord, and I think a lot of people want to see him in the ring with Shakur Stevenson. And, it was interesting because, shout out to, he calls himself Fabrizio in the Discord, but he said that based off of the fight, he believed that Shakur Stevenson would win that fight. And I get why he's thinking that because the ability that Frank displayed there in terms of the ability to box, he believes that, of course, Shakur Stevenson is a better boxer, better defensively, more sound defensively. He will be able to sustain what Frank was doing and couldn't sustain in a fight. But I think the difference between Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin is this, in my personal opinion. I believe that Frank Martin has more sting on his punches than Shakur Stevenson, something that's going to keep Gervonta. And I know Gervonta Davis said, "Oh, he doesn't have any pop. He doesn't have any pop." But I think Frank had enough pop to keep him honest because he made
He
sure
did.
he didn't just run in there. He was careful with running in there. Frank had enough pop to keep him honest. I don't know if Shakur has enough pop to keep him honest, where Tank doesn't feel like he can just keep running in there, throwing those shots and keep walking them down. Because as you could see there, Tank had the ability to continuously apply pressure the entire fight. So it'll be interesting. I would love to see Shakur Stevenson in that fight. But it sounds like, based off of what Bob Arum had to say, it sounds like Loma might be next.
He
So,
gonna
Jay, anything
sacrifice
else you want to
Loma.
share?
Nah, Loma's gonna be the next sacrifice.
Seems like it. So, you guys tell us what you think in the comment section in regards to this particular fight. It was a great fight, great card. I was impressed. Happy to see the fight. I guess the next thing to see are the numbers. I know there's a lot of speculation around what this fight may do in terms of numbers. Tank wasn't all that thrilled with the promotion, so we'll see what ends up happening. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, M Sports Media, and we are out.